Hello, and welcome to this episode of EduCurious. Today's guest is Sara Meyer, and the topic for her today is actually what happens as a teacher when life happens. Sara is one of the strongest people I know and has recently had some serious health issues with a family member. And what do you do as a teacher when you have to put your classroom on pause or balance life and your classroom? So welcome to EduCurious, Sara. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
So I want to hear just a little bit about you, your background in education, and then I want to jump into when the breaks kind of went on.
Teaching for me is a second career. I have been an elementary school teacher I just finished my 12th year. I've taught second, third, fourth, and fifth, and I've also taught a special area rotation on technology. I've taught second the longest, so I love it. I love being an elementary school teacher.
So recently you had some news come your way, and I want to share that with the viewers and just talk us through one, that's like a huge life change, but two, what was your initial thought and what did you think? Oh my gosh, what do I do with my students? So tell us about that part.
Well, just finished up this school year, and I taught fifth grade, the ELA reading and writing portion, which was new for me. I have not taught fifth grade ELA before. I also was at a new school this past year. So that are some challenges alone. I had a subject I was not familiar with, and I also was at a school that I didn't really know anybody. It all started October 19th. Well, my husband, a little bit of backstory. He does have stage 4 lung cancer that has metastasized to his liver, his lymph nodes, both sides of the lungs. That was in 2017. He was able to get on at the time immunotherapy, which is Keytruda, which now it's much more known, but that was an absolute miracle drug for my husband. And he did phenomenal. Fast forward to 2024, so just this past year. And since he did have stage 4 lung cancer that was in remission, he still is immunocompromised. Actually, I do want to back up a little bit as to the prior school year. And the prior school year was when the cancer metastasized to his brain. So that was August of 2023. And he had a brain met, and that was removed. And then in October 2023, he had another brain met, and that was removed. And I just want to share a little bit with both of those surgeries. It is remarkable how much technology is, but in advances in medicine. But those two surgeries, a literal craniotomy, he was only in and out with a hospital within 5 days. So that'll kind of set the stage for how long he was in when I get up to speed for October 2024. October 2024, we had Hurricane Milton that came through and hit the state of Florida. So what we do believe happened is that during hurricane cleanup, Kyle nicked my husband's name was Kyle, nicked someplace on his body. And a bacteria called Pseudomonas, which is a water bacteria, entered his system. Now, for normal folks, you and I, that's fine. We aren't immunocompromised. But for Kyle, he was immunocompromised. So this attacked his body, and it attacked quickly. October 19th, he could not walk. He went into the hospital, put him up to ICU. That Tuesday, we had already figured out that this bacteria had already attacked his left foot to the point where they were thinking of amputation. It attacked his left shin, his right thigh, and at the same time, I had pneumonia. So this was a double whammy. I missed that whole week coming back. It would have started, I think, October 21st. I missed that entire week due to him being in the hospital and myself. So then things looked like they were maybe on the up. I came back to school that following week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I get the call Wednesday while I'm at school. Actually, I ignored the message. I got a call. They left a message and I checked it during lunch. And I called back, and that was when the doctor told us that Kyle had stopped making bone marrow and they were anticipating him not to make it through the next 48 hours and to contact children, family members that were out of state so that they could come and have a chance to say goodbye. So we had that happen. Miraculously, this man is still here, but it did not. He is still here and he is home and he is recovering, but he was in the hospital for 65 days. He did not come back home till December 23rd. Now, during that time, he had ICU psychosis, phone calls in the middle of the night. There were some times that I actually had to stay the night with him because he was so out of it and so scared. So there was a lot of those. So the situation was pretty grave. And even though we did get him through those hurdles of, improving, he still needed to stay in ICU for a very long time. So yes, now I'm a teacher. I've got 5th grade, which in the back of my mind, I'm going, great. This is a testing year. We're tested on 3 subjects here in the state of Florida. We're testing on reading, math, science. So normally you get a break. It's like a seesaw in life. Normally I feel like, and all my other situations, either work is ridiculous, crazy, insane, stressful, but your home life is kind of even keel, or the other way around where your home life is just out of it, but your work life is pretty well balanced. I didn't have that in this situation. I had my home life, personal, this is my husband, didn't know what I was going to do. And also, I'm in a testing grade. I've got things to get ready. I've got students. I'm at a new school. I'm at a new team. For me, I think if we can call a shining light, a beacon, or any type of luck, this all happened beginning the second 9 weeks. I am lucky that I had the first 9 weeks that I was able to build my rapport with the students, as well as show to my new team, who I have never met before, I am willing to show up. I do the work. So they were able to see that work ethic and for me to be there. Also with my students, I think this totally goes back to all teachers, in the classroom management, where if you teach your procedures and your structures, teach those first before you go into any content, this is a definite testament to why we have to do that. Couple of reasons. The week and a half that I was out, my team was able to cover it for me. They were able to give the sub the plans. They were able to do this. But I also had the procedures in place where my students, the classroom was already running on autopilot. And this is 5th grade. So you do have to make sure you teach those structures and things first, or their behaviors are just going to run over you. So with me, I only missed a week and a half. Financially, that's all I could afford. I had no time built up because of the prior school year with the brain surgeries. I had used up that time. I also had a stroke last school year where I had to use time for myself. So financially, I had to be at work because he was not. So I had to be able to go to work and show up. So that is one thing. And he also was still in the hospital. So that was my day. I would go to work. I would leave from work to go to the hospital. Never knew if I was staying that night or not. It all really depended on how he was doing. But having to leave and come the next morning, either leaving the hospital or getting up and taking a shower to go to work. I had to learn the skill of decompartmentalizing just everything. I had to drop what was going on in my personal life. I had to leave it when I walked in the doors. And it was a Title I school. So these kids come from various different backgrounds. They really need their teacher on. Then at the end of the day, I had to be able to turn that off to be able to go and support my husband. Now, that didn't mean I didn't take any work to the hospital with me, grading papers and doing that stuff. As teachers, we have to do that. The biggest thing I can say was I am so glad that I had that first 9 weeks to instill the classroom management system of how I wanted my class to run. Now, these are fifth grade. They're fifth graders. They're 10, 11, hormones raging. And we all know that, sometimes they don't like to listen to their teacher, or they don't do this. But if I received a phone call, and if it was a quick one with the doctors to go over medication or something like that, I would have to take it in the middle of class. Every single one of those kids, they would immediately turn off their voices. And I'm not bribing them with anything. There was no, oh, if you're quiet, you get extra recess. Oh, here's a gummy worm. It was, if I was on the phone, they all whispered between themselves. They were quiet. They stayed quiet. They did their work. Nobody got up. Nobody did anything. And they were compassionate. When I hung up the phone, they were very, is Mr. Meyer okay? What's going on? And that is a direct result from showing up for them and doing my job at that first 9 weeks with classroom management, with the procedures, with the policies, with how we do things. It is hard. There were some times where emotions would get the best of me. I did not broadcast it to the whole entire school that this is what was going on with me. My team knew, the principal knew, and the assistant principal knew. And that was it. If I had a moment where life got to me to the point where I just had to take a break, and it could be in the middle of class or whatever, if my co-teacher was able to, I would just take a 5-minute break. If she wasn't, I would text the principal or the assistant principal, and they would come and give me a break. At the end of the day, though, I had to separate. I had to be Mrs. Meyer. I had to be Mrs. Meyer, fifth grade teacher of English at a Title I elementary school. And then I had to turn that off and be Mrs. Meyer, the wife.
I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper to how you work with a team and the importance of working within your grade level or your team or your co-teacher. It's structured differently at different schools, but give the viewers some idea of things to make sure to do with either on the support side, if you have another teacher going through a life crisis, or if you're going through one, like how to make it work, how to get through that day in that school year.
We all, and I think it was important for me to keep this in the right frame of mind. Everyone goes through stuff. We all have stuff. For me, I showed up. I think the main thing with this is you have to be a team player. A team player is meaning you show up at the collaborative planning. You are ready, you prepared, you interact. The next one is if they need people, oh, we've got to do this for field trips, for example, be a part of it. Don't just ignore. I've never ignored it and said, oh, that's somebody else's job. Somebody else will take care of that. I would ask, what could I do to do that? As a team member, every day, I kind of told them, I'll let you know how my husband is doing. Please don't ask me, because that could be a trigger for me that I've already set my mind frame to come into school and to be a teacher. And now, boom, I've already got to think about Mr. Meyer. So I did that. I was an advocate for myself. And I think it was important. My co-teacher asked, do you want me to ask you every day? What is it that you want? Because, that's when I had to set that boundary for myself. I will let you know. I'll let you know the updates. That was key for me to let them know the updates because of my frame of mind and where I had to be. The other thing I would be totally honest. And if, not meaning don't try to cover up and act like you've got things planned and you've got all this done when you really don't, because then when it comes down to the nitty gritty, when it comes down to that last minute, that's when they're going to get upset because now they all have to scramble and do your job. And that's the other thing, is to be honest and don't be afraid. Just apologize and say what it is. I am so sorry. I must be honest with you, I have not had an opportunity to look at this yet. Can you please help me? I never said, can you just do it for me? I always would say, could you help me, please? Being upfront and honest with that. Collaborative planning, we all did, like everybody did the same thing. We had 6 fifth grades. So 3 of them were reading. We all were doing the same thing for the reading instruction. As far as sub plans, that was already known. You still need to have your substitute binder up to date. I made sure I had nurse clinic passes, Band-Aids, seating charts, because they are 5th grade. And then I also made sure I had work for these students to do, and I made sure to have it for a week, because what if, God forbid, technology isn't working that day? You can't have them on their laptops. You can't do this. You can't do that. You don't know what type of substitute that's going to come in, their background, to be able to run your class. So making sure you have a substitute binder in a week's worth of work for them to do. And then also let your team know where that is. Like, where is your substitute binder? On the flip side, we had with Hurricane Milton, at this same time I was going through this thing with Kyle, one of our teachers on our team, her house got flooded. That was awful. Being there for her and realizing it wasn't just about me, not having that attitude of, well, oh, my husband's about to die, so sorry, I know your house was flooded, but my problem's worse than yours, so you need to help me. Being able to be as much of a team player as possible, even though you're going through hell and back, you still have to have that compassion. What can I do for you? Where are you at? Do you need help with something? So that I would say is the best advice for that too.
So how did you get through day to day? Was it just personal strength? Was it community? Was it relationships? Was it something just within you? Like, how did you make it?
There were some rough days. I had a good friend that I would rely on and contact every day. And she was instrumental in helping me get through this. I leaned heavily on my mom, and she helped me a lot, because at the same time, I have to make sure show that strength to my own children, because they're scared. They don't know what's happening with their dad. There were days where I literally just like stressed, traumatized. I literally would have to tell myself, all right, get up, get out of bed, Sarah. Get up, that's the alarm. Get out of bed, get out of bed. Okay, go walk yourself to the shower. I'm telling these things in my head, okay? Go turn on the shower, okay? I am telling and going through these as I'm that is there were days where I literally, that is how I had to make it, was literally one thing at a time. Prayer helped me a lot. I had a really good support system of friends, family friends, that would come bring me dinner at the hospital and sit with me. My mom, again, was amazing. They live in Orlando. I live in Volusia County. My mom would come over and stay just during the week. I couldn't always be at the hospital. And there were times where I had to have people at the hospital to understand what these doctors were saying. My mom would stay, and she would go to the hospital during the day, and then she would be there at night for me. My daughter would go. I have one daughter that lives in town. She would go. But then that does bring to the fact now of when I brought him home, December 23rd. We had to go back to school in January. So now I am a full-time caretaker of him. For the first 2 months, for January, February, and actually into March, till I got to spring break, I had to have rotations of people, like family members from Indiana, my mom, family, friends, just our friends that would literally take a day off of work that I would have to schedule for them to go over and stay with Kyle during the day while I was at work. I had to make sure he was taken care of so that I could go to work. Then when he got a little bit stronger and he got a little bit more ornery and a little bit more feisty, so for our last 9 weeks after, spring break, we came back, Got him an Apple Watch, where he actually got the service where he could make phone calls. So that was always on him. We got cameras in the house. And then at this point, he was able, when he first came home, he was non-ambulatory. So that was me doing everything for him. The last 9 weeks, so when I went, after that last spring break, he was able to transfer himself from the hospital bed into the wheelchair. And he would go around and take the cameras and turn them so that I couldn't see what he was doing during the day. So I would have to tell him and make sure he understood, if you want me to go to work, then you can't do that, because I need to know that you're okay. I need to not be able to worry about you in order for me to do my job. And that was, I think, the thing as well. I was able to have family friends, and I created that schedule where they were capable of taking notes when doctors came in, or they would make sure he ate at home, or did those types of things. I made sure those were in place so that I had to relinquish that control to other people so that I could go do my job. That's another thing, that as teachers, we're very control freaks. We like to control every little thing. And this taught me I am not in control of everything. And I had to trust other people. I had to trust that they were going to do what they said they were going to do, and that things were going to be okay, and that I was only literally 10 minutes away. So that's how I got through some of those things.
So what advice do you have to somebody who has a friend going through a life crisis? There are other people I know with similar stories. So you are not on an island, you are not alone. And tragically, this does happen in different communities. What was the most helpful thing to you? Is it showing up for dinner, or showing up for the hospital, or showing up to do your laundry? Like, how does somebody help somebody else?
For me, the showing up for dinner, having somebody come, even though while he's in ICU, or he was like intubated, or even at some point he was on so many different types of medications that he was out of it. Having that contact was amazing in the hospital, like to have somebody bring me dinner and to sit and eat it with me. Once we got home, people a lot of times forget about the caretaker. That's a rough role. What helped me the most was meals, having somebody else bake something for you, which can be a little tricky. You got to know the person who's making your meal. But gift certificates for meals that could easily be brought to the house, or one of our neighbors gave us gift certificates that were literally 5 minutes away where our house is, gift certificates to those local mom and pops that you don't think of that are within like 5 minutes away. That was remarkable. And then having somebody come and cleaning your house, but you have to swallow your pride and allow people to help you. That is my most precious point of any type of what you need to do, where it is let people help you. It's not time to be a martyr. It's not time to the pride, the factor. That was hard for me. But if they are truly your friend and they truly want to come and help, they are not judging you on how clean your toilet is. That's not what's going to happen. And it took me a lot. It was hard. That was very, very hard for me to succumb and just let somebody else do it. But that's what saved me. That's what saved me. So yeah, swallow your pride. It's easier said than done. And know that I'm going to have this opportunity to help somebody else. That way, it's going to come. Somebody, I know I'm going to have a chance to pay this back. I know I will at some point.
That's what it's all about. So as a grade level buddy or person nearby in a school, how can another teacher offer help and support in the correct way to be there or to help your students achieve success in spite of all of this trauma?
I was really fortunate. My team lead, and this is where you've got to know your students. You got to know what's going on in your classroom. My team lead did help me with that. She would say, I need for you to give me the list of your students, your lowest, where they were, the academic or their reading levels, where they were, so that they could make sure if I was not there, they would get the extra tiered instruction that they needed. That was one part that my team took on that for me. My co-teacher, she was amazing. She really knew, she could tell by our relationship if it was a good day or if it was a bad day. And sometimes we all have those lovely little students who, yep, we all have a couple of those. We would switch normally. She would keep that student all day. Or some of my team teachers would keep, or we would just, switch them out so that I could get a class run through completely. So as a recommendation, know your students and make sure you let your team lead know. These are the students I'm most worried about. Can you help me with those? And then you must have, with someone within your team, you've got to be a little bit more open and have a little bit more intimate conversations about what really, really is going on so that they know. So if you do send a student over, or if you do open up the door and they can't see you, they know automatically what it is you're doing.
Enlighten us a little bit on what were some of the procedures that you set up in the first 9 weeks that proved to be the most successful that you would recommend any teacher set up right away?
Well, I'm extra. I'm definitely a very, very, very highly structured teacher. We had procedures for lining up. We had procedures for how you get your materials. We had procedures, what do you do to go to the bathroom? We had procedures, what do you do when you need a pencil? We had procedures walking in the hallway. We had procedures entering the cafeteria, recess. We had procedures for small group. And I actually can back up with my class that I had. They were not capable of moving during small group. So I had to figure that out. They stayed at their seats and I moved. I was the one that moved around. Those procedures, and it is going over those every single day. And the consequences. Well, what happens if you don't do this? Too bad, so sad. We'll try again tomorrow, but this is your consequence for today. And making sure you're consistent is the key. And it stinks. It is so much hard work. It is exhausting. But if you don't do that at the beginning of your school year, they're not going to learn. They're not going to have that because you are going to be playing whack-a-mole the whole day. Nope. Because I also would have procedures. How do you ask questions? I would have procedures if I'm up whole group teaching. Is this a time you're going to even ask questions? Are you going to raise your hand? Do you speak out? What materials do you have that you need first thing? So it pretty much, I want to say by the 6th week, it was a pretty good pattern. This is when they come in. They know what to do. They put away their things. They get their library book out. They read. Pledge of Allegiance comes on. Boom, we automatically get out our reader and start for the day. If they forgot how to do some of these things, we would do it over and over and over. Sometimes it got to the point of recess. Now, I didn't take away unstructured free time for them. They just only got to choose between reading or drawing. So as a class, there were some of those that we had to get together. That is how to reinforce it. Your students will expect you to do what you say. If 90% of you pass this quiz, I will give you all popsicles. They're going to expect you to do what you say. Well, in the same token, if you, Johnny Q, do this again, you're going to owe me 5 minutes of recess. You still got to do what you say. Those are the things just that I would do, procedures and then consequences and what happens with that.
I feel like this particular episode is not our normal one because you've been so honest and so real, but there are a lot of people struggling behind the scenes. And so I just want others to realize that they're not alone. There's people trudging along, and offer support and be empathetic and be kind. You never really know what's going on behind the scenes, especially in education. There's so many moving parts and so much going on. and we've got to lend a hand.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it.
Yeah. And I think that I can definitely say I am a true testament to you never really know what's going on in a person's life. Because even people that find out things now, they're like, really? We had no idea. You really don't know what someone's going through. And like you said, empathy, support, be kind, just like what we expect our students to be, and to help each other out. It's everybody is in it together.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us today. I feel like this is a powerful testament of resilience and determination and hope for other
Mhm.
people. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I've
Thank
enjoyed it.
you. Whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just EduCurious, join the community as we explore various educational topics and learn from each other. We'll see you next time.